one man's whims have dragged West Asia into a dangerous era of volatility. The question now is the war nearing an end on paper, or will it actually end? In the latest, Iran's foreign minister has said the deal between the US and Iran is at the closest stage yet and has slammed speculation on leaked content of the deal. Let's just lay out the context for you. After a tense 24 hours, which saw Trump threatening to hit Iran, quote-unquote, very hard, and then calling off the attacks, President Trump said he called off more US strikes on Iran and claimed that a peace deal was in pretty final shape. In fact, according to him earlier, a signing ceremony was also on the cards. And then a lot happened. In fact, Donald Trump has on Thursday even claimed that he ended the war with Iran, he said on a call aired during a campaign rally held in Georgia. And in the latest, like we said, Iran's foreign minister has said that the deal is at the closest stage yet. Just a short while back, just for context, this is what Donald Trump stated on Truth Social. I'm quoting, "The terms that Iran leaked out to the fake news have nothing to do with the terms that were agreed on, that were agreed to in writing. What they said, including their weak and pathetic statement on having a deal, bears no relation to the truths. Very dishonorable people to deal with. With them, there is no such thing as dealing in good faith. Amazing. Also, their totally rebuffed drone attack last night against Indian ships leaving the Hormuz Strait is totally unacceptable. They better get their act together and fast," quote unquote. That's what he said. And then Iran, like we said, have said that the deal is at the closest stage yet, dismissing speculation about leaked content of the deal. Here's what else has unfolded. Earlier, India summoned the US chargé d'affaires for the second time this week after another merchant vessel carrying 20 Indian crew members came under attack off the coast of Oman. Trump's comment on the attack of the vessels coming after the US CENTCOM, remember, released separate instances, videos of strikes to, quote, disable these ships, all of which had Indian crew on board. Remember earlier, 3 Indian sailors were killed in a US strike. In fact, on Thursday, the UAE-based company that operates motor tanker reportedly saying that the United States Navy did not give any warning before attacking the vessel off the Oman coast, which resulted in the death of 3 Indians. Now, do you know how many times Trump has claimed that a deal was imminent? Over 30 times. Each time his words fell flat, the confusion mounted. Will things be any different this time around, given where things stand? And then there's also the Israeli leader, who earlier embarrassingly admitted that the Hormuz crisis fallout as a result of the war was not expected. Add this to the fact that Netanyahu has not just been verbally abused by Donald Trump, the apparent rift between the two leaders has become increasingly embarrassing for both the leaders as the world watched on. Given how they started this war against Iran together, but then there were growing signs of tension. At one point, Trump even reportedly telling Netanyahu, quote unquote, "Everybody hates you now." For now, the Israeli Prime Minister had earlier said that he and the US President were in full agreement to keep Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons. That was the day after Trump claimed a deal was imminent. So while questions have remained over the multiple hollow declarations of a deal being imminent and the war goals and where things stand and where they could head from here onwards, the uncertainty continues and the world has been bearing the brunt. No wonder then serious questions have been raised. Comparisons are being drawn with the Vietnam War. Questions are being raised over whether the adversary was underestimated and the fallout miscalculated. The thing is, even though the Vietnam War had a catastrophic human cost, the global economy was not left on edge in such a way. And in terms of consequences and implications, this war could become a bigger geopolitical turning point. The war that the US and Israel started against Iran, the subsequent Hormuz crisis, the fallout, they have become pain points not just for West Asia, but for the entire world. And recovery from the impact already caused could take far longer than what the world can actually afford. In fact, the World Bank on Thursday cut its global growth forecast for 2026 to 2.5% due to the war in West Asia. It also said growth could slow to just 1.3% if the energy supply disruptions prove more severe and come with substantial stress in the financial markets. In fact, its 2026 forecast is down 0.1 percentage point from January, the lowest seen since the COVID-19 pandemic that began in late 2019. The World Bank's stark outlook coming as the war launched by the US and Israeli strikes on Iran on the 28th of February sent energy prices up sharply because of the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, renewed the inflationary pressures worldwide, and also fueled expectations of tighter monetary policy across many countries. Among the consequences, fertilizer prices also up sharply, raising concerns about a major food supply crisis, perhaps. The verdict is, according to the World Bank, the Iran war is the worst hit to the global economy since COVID-19. The World Bank says the war is slashing global growth prospects and that a prolonged conflict could tip dozens of developing nations into years of stagnation. That's the fallout because of the war. And these are all factors that directly impact you and your lives. Serious questions remain over the strategy, the battle plan, the goals, the end game, what happens here onwards. And as of now, on multiple fronts, questions remain, while there is serious concern that continues to shoot up.